the mind is to understanding as the soul is to knowing. The thinking is just a tool that you have. It's the pencil. You know what I mean? That's the mind, it's the pencil. But the pencil's not writing the story. There's something else that's in charge of the pencil that's writing the story, right? That's what you are. That's what the soul is. So the soul is the observer of the thought. It's not the actual thought itself.
If you can be at peace with what is, then that's one way of being present. You know, you hear a song. Is the goal of the song to get to the end? Like, no, that's not the purpose of the song. The purpose is for the song itself. Like, you don't want, like, if the purpose of was to get to the end of the song, then the fastest or shortest song would be the best song.
Right. Yeah, that makes perfect sense, dude. If you can't admit that you're wrong, then you can't ever grow. You know what I mean? That's how we learn and get better, is by making mistakes. You know what I mean? So
exactly.
I mean, even Michael Jordan got cut from his high school basketball team.
That's funny. That's right. That's right.
And, you know, because it's duality, right? So you can't know what success is without experiencing failure. So,
right.
And, you know, you should embrace the bad times,
because
when the bad times are happening, it might be hard to embrace it at the moment because it's, you know, you're going through it and it sucks, but you have to know there's a payoff, right? Because the scales always have to balance. You know what I mean? So if you're in really bad right now scale, know that it's going to balance, and it might get like this, but it has to go like this too, to make up for the bad time too. Everything's equally balanced, right? So,
right.
So be grateful for the bad times, because also that means once you go through the bad time, you learned a lesson. And once you learn the lesson, the blessing always comes after the lesson's learned, right? It sucks when you're going through the lesson, right? But that's when the blessing happens. So be grateful for that you got out of it. You know what I mean? And yeah, because I've been to points in my life where I was so bad, so down, right? And you know, men do this more, but it was like contemplating and stuff. You know what I mean? I was like, you know, I had some mental health problems when I was younger, and it was a serious deal for me. And then I just thought my life was over. But then, you know, looking back, I'm like, dang, if I would have done that, I would have never experienced all these other things that I experienced. You know what I mean? So
yeah, I'm glad you didn't.
Yeah, me too. I think some other people might be too, but
I went through a dark night of the soul where I was contemplating for a while. Like, if I'm going to face 2 to 10 years in prison for something, which I was at one point, I did not want to go to prison. I was just going to say, fuck it. And I really had my mind made up that I was not going to waste 2 to 10 years of my life behind bars.
Wow.
Which is
you didn't end up happening.
That was 15 years ago.
Well, that's the thing about time, right? Is like, it seems like such a long time, but time goes by anyways, no matter what, right? So like when people say, oh, you know, I'm too old to go to school now, I'm too old to go to college or whatever, you know, it's like, well, okay, if it takes you 4 years to get your bachelor's degree and it's something that you want to do, but you know, you're already 35, you know, or you're already 40. Well, 5 years is going to go by regardless. You can't stop it. So when you're 45, then you could have the bachelor's degree. I mean, you might as well do it. You know what I mean? So it goes opposite too. You know, same thing with bad times too. Time has to just go by. So,
and time is not going faster or slower. I mean, it does feel like it, especially in this technological era with so much more information coming at us and so little time to absorb it all on a daily basis. It does feel like we are speeding up, but really it's just our relationship to time. A lot of people don't know how to be present in the moment, and they don't have a good relationship with time. I can wake up and I will tell you what time it is. Like 80 to 90% of the time, I'm within 10 minutes of what time it is when I'm guessing when I wake up. And I think that's a good practice to get into. You should try to guess what time it is when you wake up.
Well, so why don't you tell people a little bit about what being present means to you? Some people that are watching this, they might know, what does he mean by be present?
Right. So for me, being present is something that it didn't take me a long time to grasp. I feel like I caught onto it pretty quick because I saw the practicality and the usefulness of being present versus not being present. Whereas if I'm not being present, I am up in my thoughts, I'm in my mind, I'm thinking about what I'm going to do, or I'm stuck in the past, thinking about something that happened in the past, or I might be sitting at a dinner party just thinking about something else. Oh, that, like tonight I went out to dinner, and if I'd been sitting there thinking about this podcast that we were going to be doing tonight, I wouldn't have been present with everybody at the dinner and been able to interact and just hear the conversations. And
That's the thing that people need to do, right? Is enjoy the journey. So like
mm-hmm.
sometimes people get so caught up in the destination
Mm-hmm.
that, remember, it's going to come eventually anyways, right? So when it gets there, then it's there. And then, but then you're like, oh man, I finally got this thing. Like, what do I have to show for it? I was so stressed out about getting to this thing that I kind of didn't enjoy the journey while I was there. You know what I mean? So like a lot of people will say, oh, I'll be happy when, you know what I mean? I'll be happy when I make this amount of money, or when I get this promotion, or when I get this girlfriend, or whatever it may be. And then when you think that, it never comes, because being happy isn't a place or a destination you get to. It's within, you know what I mean? So once you're happy in the solitude of being by yourself, now you're on that vibration. Now you can attract the money or the girlfriend or whatever that you're trying to manifest into your life. And
Mm-hmm.
so being present is really important, because you have to be able to, again, to enjoy the journey. And the mind, it just kind of wants to take over all the time, right? And so like it just thinks and thinks and thinks, because that's what the mind does. And it's
Mm-hmm.
not good or bad, it just is. And the mind is a good thing, because you can do lots of stuff with the mind, right?
Mm-hmm.
You can put a man on the moon, you can do a First Amendment audit, you can edit a video. There's all kinds of stuff you can do with the mind. It's great. But people get too caught up in their mind, and they start associating themselves with their thoughts and the thinking, and thinking that that's what they are, when
Mm-hmm.
it's not what you are. So being present to me is being who you really are, which is your soul. And what is a soul? A soul is pure consciousness, right? It's singular. So the mind is duality, right? The mind is hot, cold, up, down, left, right. The soul is singular. It just is, right? So the mind is to understanding, as the soul is to knowing, right? So
Mm-hmm.
like I said in that last show, I can't remember that philosopher, but he said, I think, therefore I am. No, because he's associating being with thinking, and it's not. It's I am, therefore I am. Because if you say, oh, I think, therefore I am, because I'm capable of thinking, and that means that I'm conscious. But it's not really, because that the thinking is just a tool that you have. It's the pencil. You know what I mean? That's the
Mm-hmm.
mind. It's the pencil. But the pencil's not writing the story. There's something else that's in charge of the pencil that's writing the story, right? That's what you are. That's what the soul is. So the soul is the observer of the thought. It's not the actual thought itself. So again, you are starting to realize that you are the observer of your thoughts. You're not the thoughts themselves. And that's
Mm-hmm.
what, to me, what being present is. And it's weird, because I used to be present when I was a kid. I
Mm-hmm.
just did this thing, and I didn't know why I did it, or anything like that. And I don't know if that has to do with my journey, that I'm supposed to know this type of stuff. But now that I'm starting to understand more about spirituality, and, like traditional Zen spirituality, and what it is, being present, meditating and stuff, I get it. But when I was a kid, I used to just do this random thing where I'd be like, I'm alive. You know what I mean? Like, I'm just going to take a moment and just sit here and realize that I'm alive. Like, this is happening. Because I would think in my head, like, I'm living my day. I'm going to school. I got football practice, all this stuff. I'm not actually present, though. I'm not like noticing. That was what it is. You're noticing that you're the noticer of your
Yeah.
thoughts. Right.
Yes.
And so I
Yep.
would do that. And now, the one that taught me that was actually Kurt Johnson from New World All Star. He's got a YouTube channel. And
Never
he's
heard
the
of
one
it.
that taught me that. And I was like, wow, man, I used to do that when I was a kid. That's crazy. So interesting.
So to further answer your question on what it means to be present, I was going to add to it that it means to be at peace with what is. If you can be at peace with what is, then that's one way of being present. And I think Alan Watts also summed it up pretty well when he talked about, like, you hear a song. Is the goal of the song to get to the end? Like, no, that's not the purpose of the song. The purpose is for the song itself. Like, you don't want, like, if the purpose was to get to the end of the song, then the fastest or shortest song would be the best song.
Right. Yeah, that makes perfect sense, dude. But like, people get caught up if something bad's happening to them. Hi. Nice to meet you.
That's good.
If something bad is happening to you, a lot of times people, they catastrophize it, right? And I mean, unless you're like sitting there getting tortured or something like that, okay, but something will happen, and they're so caught up in their mind that they're creating their own reality of this is bad, this is bad. And right, again, like attracts like. The universe has no choice to say, okay, your wish is my command. Here's some more evidence to support that. And then it just gets worse and worse, right?
Yep.
So if you're going through like a terrible time, okay, something really bad happened to you that day, you got fired or your girlfriend cheated on you, whatever it could be. If you can take just a moment just to like go into the present moment right then and say, hey, okay, am I okay though right now? Like right now, is there a lion attacking me? You know what I mean? Or like, is there somebody breaking into my apartment with guns, something like that, right? If the answer is no, like, okay, I'm sitting in my chair, I have, heat, I have, a fridge full of food, like I'm okay right now in the present moment. That like kind of shifts you into this different like vibration, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Where you can, like you said, accept what is.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah,
you
and you're actually reminding me of the chakras, and I mean that's a whole nother episode too. But if your root chakra, if your safety and your security are not met, then you're never going to be able to advance to being creative and explore and be at peace and you know everything enlightenment and all the nirvana, doing all the cool things that you want to do with your life. So you have to make sure that your safety and security are taken care of first before you
Yep.
can do more.
Right. Yeah, that makes sense. I've heard that before too. And we are becoming more enlightened because we do have, back in the old times, like I was talking about tribal times, it was you're on survival mode all the time. You know what I mean?
Mm.
It's like your needs aren't met. Like now, okay, I know that I can eat every day, no matter what, right? I mean, even if you're homeless, you can pretty much, you can have means of getting food that's probably much easier than in tribal times, even, right? So that was one of the main instincts that we have is the two main instincts is survival and replicate, right? But survive includes eating, right? You have to have food. And
Mm-hmm.
so people in tribal times are thinking, oh man, how are we going to eat tonight? Because they probably would go, days without eating sometimes. So they get a kill. So when you're constantly in survival mode, it's very hard to be present. So we're
And I
able.
experienced that a lot when I was homeless, living in my car. And it's much more than just surviving by having food to eat or having shelter. It goes further. It can be like getting a shower, getting your teeth brushed, getting a change of clothes. Like these basics are what you need to feel that security.
Right. And you have to have, because if you've been wearing the same pair of drawers, you know what I mean, for 2 weeks straight, bro, it's like you can't really be comfortable. If you can't really be comfortable, then it's hard to be in the present moment, because that might be the time where you sit there and say, okay, be present. Is everything really okay? And you would sit there in your own reality and you'd be like, no, it's not okay. And so, yeah, it can be that way.
You just made me think of something. I almost wonder if that's why when you go to jail, they don't give you a change of clothing. They make you sit in your same dirty, sweaty, stinky clothes every day, the whole time you're in jail.
Yeah.
I mean,
Well,
it's kind of gross, but yeah,
they that
they don't want you to be present. If you were present, then you would be more powerful.
right. There's all
So,
kinds of psychological tricks they do to you in jail. And I was actually thinking about it because I've always wanted to do jail reform, just from
mm-hmm,
being in jail and realizing, that it is inhumane. Absolutely. And some
absolutely.
people say, well, you gotta, it's not supposed to be the Ritz Carlton and blah, blah, blah. You don't commit a crime. Well, yeah, I can
I get
understand
that,
that if the majority of people that were in there were actually bad people, but a lot of them
but
shouldn't even be there in the first place, really. And so,
the
like,
public
one thing
school
that,
system is a prison. Like, why can't the prisons be as clean as the public schools at least? Like,
right. Yeah. Like I always say that the jail should get an audit, not like, First Amendment audit, but they should come in and audit them and see the living conditions and how bad it is. When you get to
mm-hmm,
like the general population, it's not as bad because people live there long term. But like when you go into the holding cells, people are in and out of there all day, and like it's just disgusting. No one cares about it, right? It's like when you're at a motel or something or a hotel, like you're not like cleaning up, you know what I'm saying? It's just you leave it for the next person.
yeah,
But
when I went to jail, I had to sweep and mop out myself because it was so fucking disgusting. I couldn't exist in that. There was just
yeah,
I wasn't going to do it.
yep. But that's one thing that I wanted to change on jail reform is the fact that when I was just in there last time at Jefferson County Jail, they give you you have a pair of boxers you're wearing plus one other pair, and then like one other pair of socks and one other pair of change of clothes, right? And that's it. And so a lot of times people wash their own clothes in the shower and stuff. You know what I mean? So they can have cleaner clothes, cleaner drawers. You know what I mean? And when you first get there, you only get the one pair because they only give you a second pair of underwear once you've been there and you do laundry exchange. So if you get there, because I literally got there whatever day it was right when they did laundry exchange. So I wasn't getting it. I had the same underwear for an entire full week. This is something I want to do with my activism, because me and Sweet Tea were talking that we're going to be moving it to a different direction. We're still going to do audits and stuff, but there's other stuff that we want to do. And I've always wanted to do this. And auditing was kind of just to get my foot in the door. But I want to have some meetings with public officials and stuff and say, hey, you know what? Whoever is the in charge of the jail and the governor and stuff like that, right? And be like, hey, how often do you change your underwear? Every day?
Every day.
Every day? So if you change your underwear every day, how is it okay? How is it humane for somebody who got locked in a cage, even if you think they committed a crime, but their charge was taking pictures in a lobby, essentially, right? That's what they did. You think that that person should be forced to wear the same pair of underwear for 7 days straight?
Right. That's so wrong. It's so wrong. It's inhumane for sure.